Metal Bend Chronicles. We are getting closer and closer to Halloween. Hard to believe, hard to believe. And very close to the year 2020, which is even harder to believe. Wow. Hard to believe that, the new millennial began almost 20 years ago here in 2 more months. Hard to believe. But anyways, without further ado, we're going to get right into this video. And basically what I'm going to do in this video is show you my Scorpions collection, cassette CDs. I got a couple vinyls. Yeah. Now a lot of this stuff you will recognize if you were subscribed to my old Metal Bend Chronicles YouTube channel. I showed all my cassettes. Wasn't the greatest video at the time, so we're going to give this video justice. Yeah, let's just get right into it. We will start off with the cassettes. And I have 2 of the same cassette right here. So we got Best of the Scorpions, Volume 1. Now this has their 70s material on it. I'm going to take it out of the sleeve because this case is completely beat up. I got these all at a flea market, a couple years back. I did originally have these way back in the day and rebought a good bit of what I used to have, That's what Best of the Scorpions looks like. Yeah, it's in pretty ragged shape, but you know what? For only $1, why not? There you go. The old RCA white cassette right there. And yes, I do have another copy of this. Right here. As you can see, it's got the track listing on the front of this version. And it's still pretty much the same cassette. Yeah, that's Volume 1. Yeah, 2 copies of that on cassette. Okay. Wish I had the uncensored version of this, but I don't. But I got Love Drive. First album on Mercury Records came out in 1979. Michael Schenker guest appeared on here, Very, very good album. A transitional album, after the Ole John Roth era, the Scorpions. After Tokyo Tapes, they did go in a bit of a different direction to appease the American audience at the time. Right there, it's a white cassette. Yeah, man. Yeah, this is without the case. So you can get a better description of it. And personally, my favorite Scorpions album from the 80s. Or maybe in the second tier. I'll just say second tier. To me, there's 2 different tiers. When it comes to the Scorpions, you got the Michael Schenker / Ole John Roth era. Which I'll just throw that era together because they only made 1 album technically with Michael Schenker. Yes, Michael Schenker did play on Love Drive, but he didn't play on all of Love Drive. Yeah. But anyways. So anyways, we got the 1980 follow-up, Animal Magnetism. Right there, another white cassette. From Mercury Polygram Records. I used to have the clear cassette of these back in the day. And we got the album that basically made the Scorpions pretty daggone huge. Worldwide. This is where they finally really started becoming huge over here in America. After being popular over in Japan, and I believe Europe, somewhere over in Europe, they're like hugely popular back in the 70s. They weren't popular at all in the 70s here in America. They were quite underground. But anyways, And a lot of those 70s albums got released here back in the early days as import. Yep, they weren't like readily available here in America back in those days. Anyways, let's move on. We got Blackout from 1982. What a tremendous album this is. However, I still like Animal Magnetism slightly better, but there's some daggone good tracks on here. You know, China Lady, come on, what a killer track. And just other tracks on here that are really, really killer, like Dynamite, When the Smoke's Going Down, you know, anyways. And we got the album that really put them over huge here. I mean, come on. Rock You Like a Hurricane became their anthem, their most popular song. Of course, I don't have the uncensored version of this anymore. I only have the censored cover. Love at First Sting. Just a shot of the band on the front of the album. Again, this is a white cassette too. Just gonna pull it out there for you. Yeah, man. I just showed these in a live stream actually that I did on Saturday, but figured I'd show them a little bit better here. And we got their second live album, the follow-up to Tokyo Tapes, which I do still like Tokyo Tapes better, but this is still a freaking stellar live album. I'm talking about Worldwide Live, and arguably their last great album, depending on who you talk to. You know, right there, another white cassette. And this has, wow, this is still in here, man. It's like an advertisement for a VHS tape. Pretty freaking cool. Man. So yeah, that's pretty cool actually. A little order form inside of this cassette. Alright, so there would be a 4-year gap in between albums. And they would come back even sounding more commercial. This does have more of a Bon Jovi, Hysteria, Def Leppard vibe to it. I don't think this is a bad album though, like many think. Maybe it's just because I love the Scorpions. Clear cassette. Anyways, we got, yeah, Savage Amusement from 1988. Take that out. Right there. Pretty neat. And 1990, this album would do quite well for them. Everybody knows Wind of Change. Definitely one of their most successful songs up there with Rock You Like a Hurricane. However, I think there's some darn good stuff on this album if you really listen to it. I'm talking about the 1990 follow-up, Crazy World. Yes. Right there's what the cassette looks like. Ironically, the very first track I ever heard off of this, though, was Tease Me, Please Me, and I just thought as a kid, that was a rocking tune, man. I know by today's standards, you know, that track would sound pretty daggone generic, but I enjoyed it. Moving on, so 3 years goes by, you know, the 90s ushers in the grunge movement, so metal is pretty much dead, buried, being ignored by the mainstream over grunge and alternative music. And a lot of the hair metal bands and the thrash metal bands basically took off packing or went in a different musical direction. Well, the Scorpions came back a bit heavier on this freaking album. I'm talking about 1993's Face the Heat. I remember when Alien Nation debuted on MTV back then. I thought, man, this track is killer. It's much heavier, you know, so I was kind of looking forward to this album. Yeah, it didn't do too well at the time. However, there's stuff on here I do enjoy, man. You know, like No Pain, No Gain's a great track. Yeah. It's a good album, I mean. Someone to Touch, you know, there's still good tracks on here. Unholy Alliance. It is a bit of a darker album, but yeah, it still has that old Scorpions flair too. Anyways, last one I have as far as cassettes goes, 1995's Live Bite. Now the version of Alien Nation on here is much heavier, man. And they do a really good version of Trance on here. But yeah, this would be the Scorpions' third live album. And it's got 3 new tracks, which they're all ballads. Heroes Don't Cry. You know, I think at this point, they were trying desperately to write another Wind of Change after the success of that track, and it just never happened. Anyways, that's all I have. I used to have Eye to Eye on cassette. The worst freaking album. I used to have Pure Instinct on cassette. I don't have them anymore. If I found them, I would get them again. And that's pretty much it for the cassettes. I used to have their 70s albums too on cassette. Lonesome Crow I had. Virgin Killer I had. And you know what? Those are the only 2 I think I had on cassette. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to the CDs. Shall we? We got the 1972 debut. Lonesome Crow. Now on the old channel I did review this album. Yes. Very different. Very, very different. This is on Brain Records. Yep, I got the CD off of eBay and it came straight from Germany. But yes, 1972's Lonesome Crow. Right there's what the CD looks like. The booklet's on the inside, obviously. Very, very different. Very different. And Michael Schenker is just playing some wicked guitar for only being 15 years old on this album, man. And this would be the first thing Michael Schenker ever did. Alright. 1974's follow-up album. Fly to the Rainbow. First album with Ole John Roth on guitars. Back then he was just called Ulrich Roth. I think that's his real name. But yeah, he's listed as Ulrich Roth on the 70s Scorpions albums. You know, Lars Ulrich. Yeah. Anyways. This, again, it continues that krautrock, psychedelic direction, but you can hear shades of what's to come. Speedy's Coming, you know, being one of them songs that you would hear shades of what was to come, you know, on future albums. Besides that, you know, this is pretty psychedelic, still pretty Hendrix influenced. It's a good album, though. I enjoy Fly to the Rainbow. It's definitely different, you know. Now, this is the album where they would go more of a heavy direction, a hard rock direction for the 70s. Of course, you know, and I'm wearing the t-shirt as you see. I'm talking about 1975's Trance. First album they did hooking up with Dieter Dierks. They had a long relationship with Dieter Dierks going all the way up to Worldwide Live, you know. This is my favorite Scorpions album. Holy cow, is this good. Man. And that's debatable because the next 3 albums, like, are just phenomenal, man. Dark Lady, so heavy. And Trance is a freaking haunting ballad. I mean, you got the psychedelic Evening Winds. I mean, just killer stuff on here. You got the Sabbath influenced Living and Dying. Top of the bill's just explosive. Anyways, I can't say any more about this freaking album. And Oleg Rop's guitar tone on here, my goodness. Man. And we got 1976's follow-up album. Oh my god, this could even be my favorite album, to be honest. It's always tough. Holy crap, this album's so freaking good. I'm talking about Virgin Killer. Yes, the censored version. I refuse to own a copy of the original version due to the controversial album cover at the time. I just am against that album cover to no means, and I will never have it in my collection. Right there's what the CD looks like. RCA Records. Oh my god, phenomenal stuff here. Pictured Life, come on. Virgin Killer, just an explosive, fast song, you know. Crying Days, holy crap, that guitar solo in there. Polar Nights, just, man. Explosive. Now, I got 2 copies of this. They're both remastered versions, yes. This one is the 2003 reissue, or it might have came out in 2002. I'm talking about the last album to feature Ole John Roth, Taken by Force. Man, great album, just great album, come on. The Cells of Charion, holy crap, it's been covered by Testament. And I can see why a lot of thrash metal bands are influenced by a track like Cells of Charion. I mean, it's got that Egyptian-like guitar playing similar to what Blackmore was doing in Rainbow on tracks like Gates of Babylon. Yeah, man. He's a woman, she's a man. Holy crap. Arguably one of the earlier speed metal, thrash metal tunes. Also covered by Hellstar. And they do a massive, explosive version of He's a Woman, She's a Man on their album Distant Thunder from 1988. Moving on. Alright, another version of Taken by Force, 2015 reissue. I saw this at the record store earlier this year, and I'm like, I gotta get this. And this is actually the original album cover. I don't know why. It was banned for the longest time. I don't see nothing too controversial about it. I don't know, I'd have to look at it real good, but I definitely prefer that cover better. Pretty interesting. It's got a bunch of demo tracks on here from that era. You know, it's got a very early version of Believe in Love on it, too, that would end up on Savage Amusement, with Oleg Roth playing on guitar. Excuse me, there were Ole John Roth playing the guitars. Alright, moving on. We got... Oh my god, this is arguably the best live album of all time. This is my favorite live album of all time. Jeez, freaking Ole John Roth's guitar tone on here, my goodness. And for 1978, it's got a good production for being, you know, live. Tokyo Tapes, man, legendary, iconic, come on. Just great stuff. A freaking killer version of Fly to the Rainbow on here, man. I'm telling you, man, so epic sounding. Alright, so cassettes of these, I have it on CD too. Best of the Scorpions. You know what? I don't think I showed the inside of these CDs. On the back up there, kind of my mistake. Yeah, that's what that looks like. Let's see here. Flip it up here. Very nice booklet for this Taken by Force reissue, I must say. Very nice. This cover right here is actually on a compilation that came out called Hot and Heavy. Really, really interesting. Alright. And that's what the other Taken by Force looks like. Apologize for not showing those. I got into rambling too much. But yes, back to this. Yep, RCA cover right there. Really cool. And I got volume 2 here. All their 70s material. Released by RCA. Doesn't say what year these came out. I think it might have been 78. I mean, it says 78 on here, but I don't think. Nah, they came out in 1984. I was going to say 78 didn't sound right, but that's what that looks like. And I got the Scorpions Moment of Glory with the Berliner Philharmonic Orchestra. Lost a back cover to it. Right there. Just a bunch of stuff they did with a full orchestra that came out in 2000. They do a version of Rock You Like a Hurricane and called Hurricane 2000. You could Send Me an Angel, Wind of Change. Deadly Stink Suit's the best track on here, by far. Yep, Big City Night. Still Loving You. You know, and you get some new tracks at the time. Right there. Bad for Good, the very best of the Scorpions. You get a couple new tracks on here. Bad for Good and 'Cause I Love You. And they were produced by Dieter Dierks. Don't know why they didn't continue to work with Dieter Dierks. Maybe he retired. But yeah, it's just got a bunch of their hits from the 80s on it. They're pretty much their well-known tracks. This one right here is a box set. Unfortunately, though, I lost the CDs for these, but I still have the case to it. Box of Scorpions. Came out in 2003. It's got like a bunch of their stuff on it from the 70s, and yeah, you can see I lost the damn CDs. But I still got the case. Don't got everything. Definitely missing some stuff there. Don't have any of their... I don't have Eye to Eye. I don't have Pure Instinct. I don't have Unbreakable. Humanity Hour #1 I don't have. I used to have Raised on Rock. The 2010 album. That's what it was called, wasn't it? Raised on Rock? I can't quite remember now. And their newest album, Unbreakable. I don't have that. I gotta get them. Like for me, when it comes to the Scorpions, I'm more into their 70s stuff with Ole Groff. And their first few albums in the 80s up to probably Blackout. I mean, Love at First Sting's good. But to me, it's overplayed. If that makes any sense. Anyways, moving on to the vinyls. I only got 2. I got Trance on vinyl. Of course, it's the censored cover. It doesn't have the slip of the nipple on it. Which is ironic because you can barely see it. But anyways, right there you go, man. That's what the record looks like. I've showed this record before, man, on the old channel, but, you know, it is what it is. And I got Tokyo Tapes on vinyl. Yes, the original pressing of it. I mean, I only paid... What did I pay for this? I paid $6.95 for this. But it still plays pretty daggone good. You know? I showed this on my old channel too. But yeah, man, that's it for this video in my Scorpions collection. Alright, guys. Keep it metal.